They always said I'm wrong, but what they doing today? I think they want me gone, but I ain't going away. They told me I was wrong, but look at my ass today. Da 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 da.
Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim along with Justin for The Real Sports Talk. Check out therealsportstalk.wordpress.com. Check out Justin's website, franchisesportstalk.com. Also follow me on Twitter at CashKelly, KASHKelly _TRST. Follow Justin at TheJustinGodsey. Justin, what's going on, bro?
Nothing much, but we got some news coming out of the NFL as training camp is officially upon us. And this is actually pretty big news coming out of the NFL.
Yeah, no question. Ben Roethlisberger, a guy who I view as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger, he says that he's just sore, and this is from ESPN.com. Ben Roethlisberger revealed he has a quote, little torn rotator cuff in an interview Wednesday with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, but the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback seemed more concerned about the absence of holdout wide receiver Mike Wallace than his injury. This is the quote that Ben Roethlisberger had. He said, "I'm good. It's okay. Just sore," he told the newspaper. "I have a little torn rotator cuff. That doesn't heal. We just have to hope it doesn't tear the rest of the way," according to the doc. Ben Roethlisberger, I think we know about his off-the-field history, and whether you guys agree with everyone's opinions, that's not really the point of this video. But on the field, there's not really a player in the NFL I have more respect for on the field than Ben Roethlisberger. Here's a guy that plays through tons of injuries. I like the way he plays, and he's really become one of the better quarterbacks in the game right now. So, despite all these injuries, normally you would say Ben Roethlisberger, he played through a broken foot. He just got killed in that Denver game, and he continued to play well. The problem with Ben Roethlisberger is he's a guy that likes to get out of the pocket, extend the play, and I think that he's in danger of taking a lot of big hits outside of the pocket, Justin.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Ben Roethlisberger, by the size of this guy doesn't really look like the guy that scrambles a lot in the pocket, but he does, extends the play a lot. This guy is a really great captain on this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. But when it comes down to it, this is no small hiccup or anything. I mean, a torn rotator cuff, even if it's like a partially torn rotator cuff, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to heal, but he says it's just sore. We don't know exactly the whole extent of the injury. Is it going to be bad? But if you're the Steelers, you got to take every precaution right now, because right now, Mike Wallace is out for you guys, and now you're possibly going to end up losing Ben Roethlisberger for a big possibly. Don't confirm. I'm not confirming it or anything, but this could possibly sideline a whole lot of time for this Pittsburgh Steelers team, this offense, because this offense just probably end up losing another piece. Mike Wallace is out, and now possibly Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, Mike Wallace will probably be back because he's just holding out. You'd think that they'll get something done, although they just signed Emmanuel Brown to a deal, and they didn't give anything to Mike Wallace, so we'll see what happens with that. Ben Roethlisberger has a partially torn rotator cuff that he says happened in an injury in a November 6th game last year against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't understand why, if he had that injury last year, he didn't get it taken care of during the offseason and maybe even miss a little time early on. I know he's a warrior, but it takes one wrong hit to that rotator cuff, and you're kind of screwed. And the problem is, it is in his throwing shoulder, and you wonder what type of arm strength he's going to have, especially as the season wears down. He takes some bigger hits, especially in the playoffs. There's a lot of questions with Ben Roethlisberger because I think he's going to try and play through these, but one bad hit and the Steelers' season could go down the drain. Justin, give me the 2 backups the Steelers currently have on that roster that are really the 2 main backups. So I think there is a third guy, but the ones that have been there long term.
Okay, when you look at this team, there are 2 backups. A primary backup is really up in the question right now heading into training camp. A lot of people have been saying Charlie Batch, which is one of them. And then you also got Byron Leftwich. If Ben Roethlisberger, he says it's no big deal right now. His arm's just sore and everything, so he's probably end up like icing it right now or something like that. But when you look at it, Byron Leftwich could be a big possibility. You also got Charlie Batch. Now, I want to hear from your guys' opinion. Who do you guys think is going to be that? But me and Tim have a different perspective. And Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you on that.
I'm not saying that I think he should be, but I think Charlie Batch will be the backup. in his career with the Steelers, Byron Leftwich really hasn't done a ton, and he hasn't gotten a chance to do a ton. I understand that, but he had some decent starting experience early on in his career with Jacksonville. He played with Atlanta. He came to Pittsburgh 1 year, threw 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Got a chance to go start 1 year in Tampa Bay. It was horrendous, and then he came back last year to the Steelers, was the third-string guy behind Charlie Batch. Charlie Batch is really just... I think the Steelers like Charlie Batch, and they like what he brings to the table in terms of what he brings in the locker room, his experience. But overall, he's not going to be the type of guy that if you need him to play for any extended period of time is going to be able to win you 3 or 4 games against divisional rivals in what may be the toughest division in the NFL that features an improved Browns team, a Bengals team that Andy Dalton's entering his second year, A.J. Green's entering his second year, and then the Ravens, who despite losing Terrell Suggs, I think Joe Flacco is due to have a pretty big year this year. So Justin, who would you go with as a backup? I think I would go with Byron Leftwich. I believe Charlie Batch will be the backup.
It's kind of hard right now for me to say right off the bat, but I think you got to go with the veteran leadership. I mean, I can understand the Pittsburgh Steelers possibly wanting to go with Byron Leftwich, but on my note, I'm going to go with Charlie Batch. The guy has great veteran leadership. He's been with the team for quite a while now. Byron Leftwich, he has been injury prone, so we'll just have to wait and see. But if I had to choose, I'm going to go with Charlie Batch here.
Yeah, and Charlie Batch, one of the things that the Steelers do like about Charlie Batch, I'm sure, is that he knows the system because he's been there on and off since 2003 as a backup quarterback for first Tommy, whatever his name was.
Tommy Maddox.
Yeah, Tommy Maddox, and then Ben Roethlisberger. So he knows the system extremely well. Obviously, I'm sure it's changed a bit since then, but he's been in the system for a while. He knows it very well, so you don't really have any issues there. In the end, I think they assume Ben Roethlisberger is going to try and play through most of this, and we'll see. If things would get ugly and Ben Roethlisberger would be out for the season, or you'd find out that he's out for 6+ games or something, that maybe you could come back, but you need someone to hold it down for either the rest of the season or to keep you in the playoff race. Justin and I had made a list of a few free agents or guys that we expect after training camp could be free agents that they could potentially take a look at. The list begins with Donovan McNabb, who's one of the really premier name free agents out there. Donovan McNabb last year with the Redskins, Justin and I were or with the Vikings, Justin and I were talking about this off air. While he wasn't terribly inefficient in terms of turning the ball over, he had 4 touchdowns to 2 picks in 6 games. He had a 60% completion percentage, which was not good enough. And you know, he really just does not have it anymore in my mind. I know he thinks he can still play well. I don't see it.
I agree with you. I mean, I think Donovan McNabb is the best available quarterback on the free agent market in my book right now because you know what? This guy said he's been working out. He owns a house down here in Arizona, and I don't know. He said he's ready to come back to playing football. He's been working out a whole lot, getting back into a better accuracy in his throwing arm and everything. I mean, his time with the Redskins was just awful. It was just bad. But like you said, you pretty much covered it well with the Minnesota Vikings. But you know what? This guy is the best available quarterback. He said he's ready to come back and play football, and that could be a big possibility. I mean, if Ben Roethlisberger's arm is bad as it is it's not bad right now, what he says. But if it's that bad and you need somebody to come in and you guys are not really too set on Byron Leftwich or Charlie Batch, I mean, you could probably hit the free agency market. And you know what? Donovan McNabb is there. He's waiting for a team to pick him up.
Yeah, I guess he'd be more of an improvement over Batch because Charlie Batch isn't going to do anything special. Donovan McNabb probably won't, but at least you have the slight chance that maybe you will. Jeff Garcia is a name out there. I think he's 42 years old right now. So, actually, I think he's 40. No, he is 42. 42 years old. The last time he actually took a snap was in the 2009 season with the Eagles, where he took a whole 1 snap that season. Didn't throw the ball, he just took a snap.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Tim. Jeff Garcia, this guy is, at the age he is right now, this guy is still playing football. And I respect guys Brett Favre has played football for a long time.
Brett Favre had a lot more left at that point, though.
Yeah. Jeff Garcia, I mean, this guy has been playing down in the U.S., I think it's the USFL, United States Football, not the USFL.
The UFL.
UFL, yeah. USFL is actually coming up soon. They're returning. But the UFL, Jeff Garcia was actually doing a great job for the Omaha Nighthawks. So he got back into playing in the NFL last season, but he really didn't get a snap, though. But I thought him coming back to the Houston Texans, or going to the Houston Texans, I could see this guy having playing time, because Matt Schaub was out, Matt Liner was out, they brought in Jake Delhomme, and they brought in Jeff Garcia. Jake Delhomme was their next guy, and I'm like, you know what? Jeff Garcia was still on the bench. I'm like, put him in. Let's see what he did.
Yeah, well,
what
I think the fact that he was third string on a team that had an inexperienced T.J. Yates playing quarterback, then as a backup you had Jake Delhomme, who we had seen a few awful seasons with the Browns. The fact that he was still third string and didn't get any chance pretty much to me spells that he's done. So I don't see the Steelers really taking a chance on him. It just wouldn't make a ton of sense. The third guy we have is Trent Edwards, currently on the Eagles roster. The problem for Trent Edwards, though, is chances of him making the roster for the Eagles are extremely small, because the Eagles obviously have Michael Vick at the first spot. Then they have Mike Kafka, a guy who they've worked with, has shown some decent signs of being a pretty decent backup quarterback. He's almost pretty much for sure or a guaranteed spot. And then Nick Foles is a guy who they took early in the draft, I think third or fourth round. So they're not going to just cut him right away after they just did that. So Trent Edwards is pretty much screwed unless Mike Kafka goes down with an injury or someone goes down with a big injury. The chances of Trent Edwards making the roster on the Eagles aren't very good. Look, as a quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, he actually was with the Jaguars last year, but for the most part, his experience has come with the Buffalo Bills. He's kind of a game manager. He's not going to do anything more special, I don't think, than Byron Leftwich or Charlie Batch, so I don't think it would make a ton of sense for them to bring him in.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this, I mean, Trent Edwards last year, he goes from what? We went to Jacksonville. He didn't really do much for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The only game that really came to my mind, I'm pretty sure he played a little bit against the San Diego Chargers, but last year as a part of the Jacksonville Jaguars, it was just a horrendous season. Let me pull the stats up real quick. Last year, 521 yards. He had a completion percentage of 54.5, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I mean, this guy does not really have it anymore. I mean,
he was really never that good. That's the thing with him. So I think you're right. Donovan McNabb is probably the best available guy. The only worry I have is Donovan McNabb has a big ego. I'm not saying that because I'm the Eagles fan, because I like Donovan McNabb a lot. But Donovan McNabb is a big ego. The Steelers are a team that doesn't like to change up a ton of things. I'm not sure how well accepted he would be into that locker room if he came in there and was almost entitled. He needs to understand that at age 35, he will be lucky to get a job in the NFL, and if he gets it, he needs to treat it like he's almost a rookie again or a younger player, and he has to earn his respect in the locker room and in the huddle.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I agree with you on a lot of those finer points, man.
We'll see what happens with Ben Roethlisberger. This is all just speculation. But hearing that already at this point in the season he has rotator cuff problems is not a positive thing. I'm sorry to say that for Steelers fans. We'll see you guys later.
Just a little place around the corner from fear. Be there,